Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Moirology, and the future ain't what it used to be. This is Lord Help Me I Can't Change. More feminist encounters in the wild. Feminism does not have rebuttals, nor does it have arguments. Not as such. Feminism is an entity existing, living, thriving on nothing but its own hubris, on nothing but its own sense of entitlement. Strip away the hubris, mine away the decades of indoctrination and brainwashing into the serpent cult, and you are left with hollow phrases and learned tactics that is downloaded straight into the melted machine minds of its adherents from the great feminist server in the nether realms of chaos and hysteria. Yes, I have been watching feminist filth merchants in debate on Twitter yet again. For some reason I cannot claw my way out of that grand spectacle. I cannot tear my eyes away from the train wreck. Though I do not wish to partake, heavens no. I have too little sanity left to lose to do that, and arguing with a feminist brings about as much joy and reduces one's intelligence just as much as banging one's head against a shrapnel from a hand grenade that never stops exploding. Yet I keep reading or watching the debates, stunned and perplexed, almost transfixed, ensnared by the closed minds on display. You can always tell who has a closed mind by the insistence of those that are closed-minded that they are open-minded. A peculiar paradox, I know, but these are people for whom the only thought in their minds is the one that says that women are oppressed and that feminism is the path to take to fight the establishment and the consecrated conservative routines of the close-minded. Even when the intravenous injection of feminism that replaces their mental processing powers also closes their minds to viewpoints that are not infected with the ovary-shriveling, dick-shrinking, brain fluid evaporating virus of feminism. Of course, I cannot fault them entirely. For feminism, this peculiar ism is the only ism that has been allowed to be taught as fact in schools. At the very least for all my life. It has been allowed to be handed down like handouts from the hand-me-out squad to young kids, the dominant ism and one and only guiding light in the world. For decades. And it is so strange and it is so weird and so soul-suckingly insane that an ism, any ism, should be taught as fact to small children. We would not accept this word any other ism. We would not accept it word communism, would not accept it word socialism, would not accept it word capitalism, fascism, Nazism, existentialism, nihilism, Buddhism, racism, etc., etc. In fact, we would label it political, religious, whatever indoctrination and demand it to stop. Also, we seem to accept it when it is intersectionalism as well, for some strange and peculiar reason. No one should stand for this. Yet, with this toxic, nausea-inducing sludge, we not only accept, but we celebrate. And any and all manner of critique, any and all manner of rebuttal or protest or evidence to the contrary that is bright as the surface of the goddamned sun are met with the most vile and horrifying behavior one could imagine, which we would not accept from any other member of these gone-past-their-sell-by-date societies of ours. And rightly so. Because the behavior on display from these venomous harpies is not behavior that should be condoned and celebrated. Yet that is par for the course, part and parcel of living in the fantastic feminist utopia of ours, where women are so oppressed and feminism so prosecuted that they can behave like a vile, horrid, treacherous nest of absolute fucking cunts. And do so with impunity, with celebrations, with thunderous applause from the gawking onlookers that drool and dribble on their shoes for lack of brain fluid after it has evaporated on account of the feminist heat. Welcome, my friends, to the machine. Feminism gives women leeway to release the feminine shadow, the dark side of womanhood with impunity, with no shame nor regret. It allows for the worst kind of behavior one could imagine. Anti-social displays of crudeness, vulgarity and supposed put-downs that should not be accepted in any civilized society as accepted the moment it comes from the herpes-infected lips of a feminist do-gooder fighting the good fight against the establishment that is the patriarchal kyriarchy, the grand and phenomenal godhead of oppression and terror and tyranny that, for some strange reason, allows and celebrates this behavior from their oh-so-oppressed subjects. Welcome, my friends, to the machine. The lack of arguments when faced with facts that are undeniable are stunning. When arguments are attempted, it amounts to nothing more than mental gymnastics designed, in some way or other, to blame men for whatever it is. Even if it is something feminism has implemented, fought tooth and nails with all the ovary acting they could muster to keep, it is blamed on men. One example of this is custody of children post-divorce. Giant feminist organizations have fought tooth and nail to keep the mother as the primary caregiver. Successfully so, I should add. Yet, when this is brought up as a goddamned affront to fathers, which it is blamed on the patriarchy for assuming mothers to be the best caregivers and motherhood being the only role a woman should aspire to. What a strange fucking world these people live in. Such a weird world is this brave blue world. There is no logic, no reason, no ability to see facts, truth and so on such for what they are. There is nothing but the immediate emotional upheaval presented as fact, because that is what she feels in a moment, in the heat of the moment. And if that is how she feels, then that is fact without a doubt. And there is the problem of it. Emotions are subject to change at a moment's notice. This goes for both men and women, of course. It is not something one should wish to build one's understanding of the world around. Emotions are fickle things. They change all the bloody time. And any understanding of the world that changes all the bloody time cannot be an understanding of the world that brings any form of calm or tranquility or satisfaction. It is all well and good, I suppose, to experience the world as a beautiful place if one is in a good mood. It is not as good to experience the world as a terrible place if one is in a bad mood. Emotional states no doubt paints one's perspective of the world. This is a very human thing, I suppose, neurotic wrecks that we are. But there is no baseline there. No tightrope to walk, no path to follow that will not dwindle and fade away. Better, then, to consider the world as a completely neutral and uncaring thing of nature, an indifferent beast that could not give a single two-handed fuck about one's emotional state at the moment. Nothing changes in the world depending on one's mood, only one's perception, one's understanding of the world. Being able to transcend that and view the world as the aforementioned uncaring and indifferent beast, no matter one's current emotional state, gives a baseline, a balance, a slap to the face that, at the very least, anchors one to reality instead of the insane realms of subjective fantasy that is the roller coaster of emotion. The machine will keep going. That is the crux of the issue, the pinnacle of madness. For when the machine has started, it is nigh impossible to stop it. And the machine began to spin its wheels 100 years ago or more, so that now, driven by the faulty understanding that women are somehow oppressed, driven by the gynocentrism in our species, the reptile brain that tells us that we must protect and cater to women above all else, lest the species die out, lest our genes are not spread, lest our seed shall fall to the earth and rise like steam to the heavens above as some perverted sacrifice to the godhead itself from the wretched hairy palms of the humpbacked cross-eyed midget Onan. We accept anything from the mouths of women and those who claim to fight the cause of women. For women must be protected, and if we do not protect women with our all, we must hate women with all our shriveled soul and micro-dicks. Not to mention that the only reason for opposing feminism, according to its adherents, is a lack of sexual access to women, telling us more than we need to know about feminism and how it views women as sexual receptacles, as well as their view of men and male-female sexual dynamics. That is, sex is something men does to women, something women give to men. Micro-dick is one of those trite, yet tried and true go-to insults of the feminist hive mind scorned. For one who has no arguments or rebuttals, shame is the apex of put-downs. And shaming men for their lack of sexual prowess or lack of ability to satisfy a woman sexually is the greatest put-down there is, in the hive mind. Odd, I think, that any man who supposedly hates women as much as the feminists would have us believe of any who oppose their bass-ackwards view of the world should feel any semblance of shame for not being able to satisfy a woman. One should believe there would be no shame in this from someone who supposedly hates women, because someone who hates and abhors women would, one assumes, not give two fucks about her satisfaction. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Of course, men not giving a fuck about female sexual satisfaction is another feminist piss-pot argument dragged up from the depths of their inability to tell a man what they enjoy in bed, or, for that matter, take some responsibility for her own satisfaction as well as his satisfaction where sexual matters are concerned. If one does not tell one's partner what one enjoys, one should not then be surprised that one's partner does not know. Cock-a-doodle-doo, and welcome, my friend, to the machine. Given my chosen subject matter in this radical ramble, driven by rage, wrath, ruin and enough caffeine to kill a moderately sized pony, there is a definite need to mention this as well. Feminism does not equal women. despite what the feminist hive mind want to believe, or what they want us to believe. A searing, brimstone and fire, hell and damnation, full frontal assault on feminism is not an assault on women, or on women's rights. It is an attack on an ism that proposes to not only speak on behalf of all women, even the women who do not agree with it, but that also proposes to speak on behalf of gender equality, that demands a monopoly on the mere concept of equality. A more tyrannical, totalitarian and horrifying notion than that is hard to come by. Any voice who demands a monopoly on a concept, that demands to be the only one to speak on a certain topic, whatever that topic may be, is a voice that should be shunned and ignored. For anyone who claims to have all the answers to all the riddles cannot be believed, must not be trusted, must be fought with all the madness of a wild beast cornered with nothing to lose. Such fell authoritarian beasts are not to be trusted with anything, let alone power. Feminism have come to equal women to the close-minded, open-minded squad. Any woman who does not fall in line with the secular religion of feminism, with all their squalid brainwashing and indoctrination, is an affront to feminism and the divinity of the sisterhood. She is a result of patriarchal brainwashing, making her internalize her misogyny. Because, to the eyes of feminism, women are so weak-willed and frail that they are absolutely incapable of thinking for themselves and making their own choices. If she does not bend the knee to feminism and allow feminism to think for her, she is bending the knee to the patriarchy and allowing the patriarchy to think for her. It is either or where women are concerned, in the brainwashed melting minds of feminism. A woman exists either for feminism or for the patriarchy, never for herself. And this squad of permanently offended religious nutcases claim that our side hates women. It is so agonizingly weird. I don't think I have ever met anyone that has so much disdain, so much antagonism, so much raw hatred for women than a feminist meeting a woman that does not fall in line with the orthodoxy of feminism. It is an ideology built on hate for anyone who is on the outside, a misanthropic force claiming to work for equality. It makes me sick to my core that this wretched hive of scum and villainy have been allowed by our societies to be the dominant voice on all things gender, on all things sex, on all things equality. The most radical voices of our societies today are the voices that dare defy the norm to state the simple truth, such as it is, that we are not the same, we are not equal, not as such. We have different strengths and different weaknesses. We have different brains and different bodies to go along with these brains. We are not the same. We are not equal. We are of equal worth, without a doubt, and we are of equal value, without a doubt. But we are not the same. See, I come from the egalitarian point of view, an individualistic point of view, a point of view that treats people based on the content of their character, based on the way they treat me and the way they treat other people. Sex does not factor into it. In particular now, post-Red Pill blues. This is something feminism does not like, nor do they celebrate it, for feminism fights for women to be treated far better in society than men are treated, based on how they imagine men are treated, not based on how men are in fact treated. And so do tradcons for that matter, though the reasons may appear to be different at first glance, they are not. It stems from the same tide, the same rush, the same brainwave. Women are the ones who carry children. At the end of the day, we are animals. And the ones who carry the children are, biologically speaking, of more value. They must be protected. And they must be pampered and taken care of, lest the tribe die, lest the species die, lest all fails and we do not survive. The quest for equality which the feminist hive mind has led us on is one of misguided equality. It is a quest for equality of outcome which is impossible given that we are not the same. It is impossible without grand-scale social engineering, which we are witnessing through affirmative action, through gender quotas, through lowering the standards to include more women, as we can see in the recent hissy-fit-inducing flurry of articles that state that lowering the standards of entry for women is a hand up, not a hand out. Sha-ba-na humbug. We float and fly towards different things based on our different strengths and weaknesses. Our choices are a product of our biology more than they are a product of some horrible scheme by the governing patriarchy that loves men so much and hates women so much that it sees no qualms in putting men in harm's way and keeping women out of harm's way. Were we truly living in societies that hate women, one should assume that all the dangerous and dirty jobs would be done by women that are not yet ready for childbirth, or who can no longer carry children. That would be hatred of women. One would assume that men be given all the cushy jobs. One would assume that more women than men would be homeless. One would assume the suicide rates to be quite different. And on. And on. Our societies do not hate women. Our societies protect women. And the frantic forces of feminist fragility are well aware of this. They play on this, tugging at our heartstrings through emotional manipulation and pure shaming until we do as they wish. "You do not hate women, do you?" she asks, as she pouts her lips and widens her eyes, as she bulges what bulges there are, and any man tremble and go weak at the knees and at the groin at the sight of her awesome neoteny, at the seductive whisper of her alluring voice and her wide hips that subtly promise possible procreation in the not-too-distant future. The best way to choke the forces of feminism is to treat women exactly the same as we treat men. Neither better nor worse. Exactly the same. Complete and utter equal treatment. When that is done, the forces shout and rear and whinny that men treat women so much worse than they treat men, evidenced in this study linked below. Well, maybe not the best way to choke the forces of feminism. Rather, it would be the best way to show the beast of feminism for what it is. A movement seeking nothing but female privilege. To hoist women up to stand on the shoulders of men until the shoulders break out of their sockets. Only for the feminist hordes to scream for more, more, more. Just as we have done, time and time again, in different guises and different clothes and wearing different masks. The song remains the same, the band stays the same, the tribe will still be just as the tribe was. Only the names and the seasons change. Nothing more and nothing less. Thank you very much for watching. Here follows an outro most befitting a video of this nature, a blatant attempt at virtual panhandling. Should you wish to support this channel, as well as my blog and any further endeavors this strange path will take me on, there are a few ways you can do that. The easiest would be to like, share and subscribe, as well as clicking the sometimes functional notification bell. Having the message, such as it is, manspread and mansplained far and wide will do wonders. You could also support my rambling and barely contained insanity by buying my books, which are linked below. More books will be made available as time allows. I also have a Redbubble shop, linked below, where you can buy prints in various forms of some of the artwork presented in my videos. Or you can contact me through the contact form on my blog for original artwork, commissions or prints direct from the source, so to speak. Until next time, I am your humble bearded bard, Morea Legier, manspreading majestically beneath the steel sky of doom.